Hello my lovelies, have you ever bought a fabric only to get home to realize you had another fabric exactly like it? Is your fabric stash a jumbled mess, and is it easier just to buy new fabric than to organize what you already have? Hi, if you're new here, my name is Althea and I'm here to talk about all things sewing, having ADHD, all things history bounding, historical clothing, so that you can creatively thrive through the art of sewing. Today I'm going to be talking about the ADHD taxes on our fabric that cost us money, time, and emotional well-being. And I'm pretty sure that even those without ADHD can relate to this. I mean, having piles of fabric tossed together in bins, on shelves, or in drawers, or still in shopping bags on the floor, or some combination of all of the above. What is ADHD tax? Well, this is the tax that we pay due to our ADHD symptoms. I mean, the ADHD tax makes life more expensive, more frenetic, and less healthy. And the sum of this tax and all of the emotions that come with it take a toll on our time, our wallet, and our health, and most definitely on that roiling mass of textiles that we call our fabric stash. So what are ADHD taxes on fabric? This ADHD tax on fabric can come in many forms. I'm going to talk about a few ways our ADHD affects our sewing and especially our relationship with fabric. Then I'm going to share a fun free challenge that is starting tomorrow that you can join in to get a kickstart on organizing your fabric, and also a new course that I am launching on July 18th if you are interested in a more in-depth experience to help you get your fabric organized. So how does ADHD affect our time? Well, I don't know about you. I can spend a lot of time, waste a lot of time trying to find things if I don't keep them where they're supposed to be. One way to deal with is organize your fabric, and I absolutely get that that is easier said than done. Well, a few years ago, I did a major purge of my sewing room. I got rid of like 30 boxes of fabrics, notions, tools, and I don't even know what. What I was left with was a very streamlined and not nearly as cluttered sewing room. And the best part of all was that now I had a fabric collection that worked for me. I mean, when I started, I could not even squeeze through hardly my sewing closet where I store all of my fabrics. It took me many attempts to get control of my fabric, and you know, that fabric accumulated over decades, and it was a real emotional journey to go through in getting rid of that much fabric. You know, some things that I had had for decades, and I knew that I was never going to sew that fabric into anything, but it was more the sort of emotional attachment that I had to deal with. And it just really took getting to that point where I just couldn't function anymore before I took those steps so that I could get myself organized and get rid of that much just crap that was in my sewing room. So how do we do this? We do it one bite at a time. You know, basically I just piled everything into the middle of my sewing space, and I had my boxes, my keep, my donate, my trash. And I gave away about 30 boxes of stuff, and I have some lovely friends who took it off my hands and I didn't have to worry about it. You know, you can set yourself a timer and work for 15 minutes and then eat a cookie. Because when you have small wins, if you have big wins, you want to be able to reward yourself. And there's no shame in hiring someone who can help you do this. Another way that we express these ADHD taxes is through poor project planning. Because folks with ADHD tend to suck at planning. Well, no, we may be great at planning. We may be great at putting all of our intentions and our plans into very expensive journals, or spending a lot of time on like GoodNotes or in Procreate or any of these other things where we hyper-focus and plan. But when it comes to follow-through, that's where the ADHD taxes get us. We have wasted all that time in project planning. So for us, it's really about that follow through. And, you know, that's something that I know we are all working with. A way that ADHD taxes affect your money is that we keep purchasing things because we don't know where to find them, or we forgot that we had them. We have such a problem with object permanence. If we don't see it, it does not exist. And so one way I deal with this is I keep a catalog. I have some notebooks, some 3-ring binders that when I purchase a fabric, I will take a little swash. I will write how much it is, how much I paid for it, where I got it. Sometimes if I'm buying online, there will be a little label attached to the fabric, and I just rip that off the fabric and I put it onto my notebook paper. And it really helps me to know what I have. When I'm thinking about a project, I can kind of look through my notebook and see what I have available, see how much I have of it, is that enough? And then I can go purchase it if I don't have it. Another ADHD tax that we have is impulse buying things we don't really need. So one of the hobbies of people with ADHD is collecting hobbies. Having a hobby of collecting hobbies is a perfectly valid hobby, but we do spend a lot of time and money on starting things, buying things, and then not really following through on it. I mean, raise your hand if you have a box or a shelf or something somewhere that you purchased to do a craft or a thing and you just never really got around to it. That's something that we do. And changing this behavior is really hard. I mean, Americans have such a complicated relationship with money to begin with. Most of us have no training whatsoever in how to deal with money. And this makes being mindful with our money very difficult. Sometimes it's very helpful if you find a friend or a family member that kind of wants to help be your accountability buddy. What I do is I have a spreadsheet. If I think I want to buy something, I'll put it into my spreadsheet. And then once a month, I kind of go through that spreadsheet and, purchase what I need within my budget. I do make purchases throughout the month, but those tend to be things that have a sort of a short lifespan, like purchasing eBay items. Sometimes it's a one-of-a-kind thing, and if you don't purchase it then, it's going to be gone when I come back next month for it. So how do ADHD taxes affect our health? Well, gosh, I probably don't have to talk to you much about stress and anxiety because, we all have it. And we're really our own worst critics when it comes to this because we have a lifetime of not understanding our own brains. We have a lifetime of people telling us that we're ditzy, that we're brainless, that we, can't finish anything, we can't accomplish anything. A lifetime of procrastination and all of these other things that come along with ADHD. And we really need to work hard at changing those negative thoughts. Depression and negative self-talk is really all the rage with ADHD squirrel brains. Don't be afraid to seek out therapy if you need it. I mean, cognitive behavior therapy is really useful for folks who have ADHD. What you can do is keep a journal. Whenever you have one of those negative thoughts, write it down and then write out a positive thought to counteract that. What's a different outcome that could happen? We have a tendency to catastrophize. Since I made this small mistake on this garment, that garment is ruined. So we need to kind of retrain our brains and, give yourself permission to love yourself and your own wonky brain. I mean, ADHD is neither good nor bad. It just is. And it's the brain that we have to work with. So we need to treat ourselves with kindness and grace. And the way I think about it is, how would I treat a friend or a loved one who is dealing with the same thing that I deal with my own brain? I would treat them with kindness and grace. We need to acknowledge our mistakes and not catastrophize and move on. Think of it like this. You don't need to comment on every social media post that you don't agree with. You can scroll right past and find that funny kitten video. We can do this with our own brain. We can scroll right past that negative thought and find our own kitten video that's going to reset those negative thinking. So, talking about ADHD tax avoidance, because tax avoidance is not just for rich people. This is finding ways to help your brain do the things needed to avoid ADHD taxes. The way I do this is by keeping my fabric collection lean and well curated. I still have to buy fabric for projects, but I know that there's a good chance that I'm going to have exactly what I need when I need it. I also have that system to catalog my fabric when I get it, so that I bring it into the house, it goes immediately into the washer, I press it, and I put it away relatively quickly. I mean, I'm not perfect, and things do need to be regularly cleaned out in my fabric collection. Oftentimes I need to go in there and refold things and get them shelved again, but at least I can walk through my sewing room now. And this is really where my challenge that starts tomorrow comes in. This is a 5-day challenge to get your fabric organization kick-started. And if you need a bit more support, I'm offering a new course starting on July 18th if you want more of an immersive experience. And if you're not quite ready for either the challenge or the course, that's awesome. I'm going to share a free lesson that you can download in the description below so that you can learn at your own pace. If you're looking for more community support for your ADHD and your sewing and historical clothing or history bounding, consider joining my Face group. You will find the link below. We have an amazingly fun community and would love to have you join us. Join us. Join us. Join us. So it's been lovely chatting with you, and I look forward to continuing our conversation in the comments. I really do love hearing from you, and it helps YouTube know that you found my video helpful, so they will show it to more people. I'm really close to 1,000 subscribers and would love to get there by the end of this month. So feel free to share this video and rave about that mad woman you watch on the YouTubes who talks about all the things that you love, the sewing, history bounding, Mistress Weatherwax, and historical clothing, because we are all in this handbasket together, so let's lift each other up. And until next time, get vaxxed, stay safe, and I bid you joy.